Today, my guest is Michael Thompson. He is a career coach, a leadership lecturer at a master's program in Spain, communication strategist. And as of 2024, he is an author. He wrote a book, Shy by Design, 12 Timeless Principles to Quietly Stand Out. And I'm just so pleased to have you with us today, Michael.
Thanks. Thank you, Peter. It's really great to get to know you, and I'm excited to dig in.
When did the book come out?
It came out July 16th in the US, and it just came out like the hardcover came out in the UK and Europe 4 days ago.
Awesome. So Shy by Design talks about your personal journey. What motivated you to write this book?
So I grew up shy and stuttering, and I moved around a lot for my dad's job in the Air Force. So I kind of perpetually felt out of place. I was that kid who had to stand up in front of the class. The teacher said, "Please introduce yourself." And I froze. I felt I got picked on in high school by teachers. So I kind of always had just felt kind of like I didn't belong anywhere. And after college, my buddies were all like going out into the world and getting jobs and going on vacations. And I was bar backing in Baltimore. And as a personal challenge, I pursued a sales job as kind of a Mount Everest. And I found a place that was kind of dumb enough to hire me. And I got really the first 90 days on the job were rough. Like I actually hung up on people just because I stutter on M's still. And my name's Michael, and I was selling mortgages. So it's something that I kind of had to enunciate a million times. So I would hang up more than the clients.
It's a telemarketing type job?
It was mortgage sales. So this was pre-boom. So I got in at a good time, and probably around the 90-day mark, I kind of hit my stride, and I stopped trying to be like the more extroverted and charismatic people in the office. I realized that there was a lot of people in the office who were shy, introverted, and reserved. The top salesperson in the office was kind of socially awkward, but he was great at listening. He took great notes. He was focused. He wanted the best for his clients, and he stood out. And so kind of some things happened that my eyes opened that, hey, maybe like I'm okay here. And it's funny, my big break was I went to a sales conference, and a Zig Ziglar type said something towards the end of his talk like, hey, and remember, if you can't get someone to talk to you, start stuttering. They'll see you as a human being instead of a salesperson. My team and I, like, we all erupted, like, as like, I know that's stutter. And like that kind of just confidence boost of like, hey, maybe I do belong here and I'm okay. And I have strengths that I've hidden like underneath my perceived weaknesses that I need to kind of like uncover and unearth. And so that was my start in the world. And like most people, like I took my newfound confidence. I got promoted to the management team within about 18 months or so, top 10 in the company, corporate trainer. And I took my confidence and money I made in that job, went to Central America right when the financial crisis hit. Business partner's dad he changed the deeds of my property, sold them out from under me. So I went back down. A couple of years later, after I sat in a bar in Pennsylvania, I got on a plane to Barcelona, and my shoulders dropped. I focused again, and I started to teach English, got work at doing presentation seminars, met my wife doing that. And that steamrolled into helping like other people who lack confidence to speak at to own their story and voice. That's a lot of the work I do at the university. And I also help like CEOs, like C-suite types to write their books. So I'm kind of hopping in and out of a lot of things.
Nice. And you have looked at obviously there's a lot of books out there, but you found that you wanted to tell your story, obviously in the hopes that it's going to help some others along the way as well. And so I'm just curious, was there a moment in your recent past, or when did you have that decision, like, okay, I need to write this down?
All right. So sorry. I think you asked that in the beginning, and a little bit of a backstory.
No. Don't worry. I'm good at coming back.
But the context, yeah, there were 3 things. I started started to write when I was 38, so about 8 years ago. And I quickly realized that I should have started to write earlier. I'm my best communicate in writing. So I punished myself for 15 years in sales, and I'm glad I did because I have stories to tell and I have experiences. I've had to give presentations, interviews, workshops. But the big moment was with my first child, like my first son. He's shy, he stutters. My dad during COVID got cancer, and like right when I signed the book deal, and I was kind of frozen. Like, this seems insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And he had said, he was like, well, I'm going to write my like legacy book. You write your book. And I want you to keep at it. So it's just one of those things. It kind of feels like my first mountain book in a way. So I'm 46, like looking back, I want my kids to know that they're already cool. There's a lot of ways to go from A to B in the world. Popularity and stuff in high school, it kind of, we carry what we think is cool or great or confident or through what we like, the level that we set in high school. Like a lot of us like keep that image through life, and life changes. And at 40, I don't care if someone's charismatic. I want them to listen and care. And it's just kind of like sometimes the loud is kind of annoying. Like I like quiet now, you know? Yeah. So it's kind of the combination of things where it's like, this is my time to do it. And family stuff. Like it's usually the driver is like a personal reason for me. It's a why that I can't write a book just because I need to write a book. It's like I have to want it.
Yeah. So you had this internal fire plus your dad obviously inspiring you.
Yeah.
So so just curious, how is your dad?
He's good. We've had a couple phone calls where he's like, I've been told that this is it, and he keeps beating it. He's coming here in 2 weeks for the first time in 5 years. So he was trying to go into the hospital right when COVID hit, saying I'm losing weight, da, da, da. Like, and they thought it was just COVID or languishing, like the typical words. Like, and after 6 months, he had lost like 25 pounds. That happened so like we went back for Christmas this past year for the first time, and we got COVID the day we landed. So we spent Christmas in the basement. We didn't see my parents. My youngest is 6. So my dad just got the clear. He's been taking all these immunity shots for COVID and other things, and they're coming here in 2 weeks. So fingers crossed.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a very weird place though, of not being able to do, like, you can't go home. You can't, like, it was a weird place to navigate. Yeah. It's like you get news and you want to get on a plane, and then you're like, well, I can't get on a plane. So we've had some good talks over Zoom and Skype, but it'll be pretty good to see them.
That's great. So, with respect to the book itself, and like what I would expect to, get out of the book, what are some points that you hope folks get out of the book?
I think the big thing is just to question everything in the beginning. The underlying current of the book is it's kind of a book. It's not a book from good to great. It's more from bad to not awful. And it serves as a spark to put yourself out into the world.
Yeah.
There's more expert how to communicate in a negotiation.
Sure.
This is for me at 21, 25, or even 30. There's a lot of people I speak with who are 50 who are like, I need this now. Yeah. Just to kind of question everything and how the world operates. Like I alluded to previously, I accepted the world I was born into, and I didn't question anything. My dad's environment was like, he's a great guy, but I was surrounded by people who are like shoulders back, head high, shake someone's hand and break it. And I was the opposite of that. And I put on a mask. I tried to be that person, and it just didn't work. And it was those experiences in sales that made me question, like, hey, maybe there's different ways to do this. Looking back, I would probably rename the book like Everything I Learned About Social Skills Growing Up Was Wrong. I stand to the side. I don't get in front of someone. I don't try to leave an amazing first impression. Like, I try to have it as a quick interaction, like upbeat, let someone go on their way, and follow up with a nice thought, like a recommendation of a book. Like, these small steps that we take is what builds relationships. And I got caught up in the game where I thought that I had to like perform to impress people. And that sounds, sometimes you do have to do that. If you're in front of a VC, you're interviewing for a prison guard job, you need to be a little bit more confident. But with a lot of people, it's just the warmth, caring, being curious, like asking a few questions and showing some way in the future you were paying attention and listening to them.
So it in some respects, it's not about you as the performer. It's about the person you're interacting with. So you're focusing on them, not you. And most people feel more comfortable talking about themselves, or at least relating something about themselves, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, are you familiar with Donald Miller and Story Brand?
Yeah.
Building a story brand. And, the big takeaway from that one is, and we do this all the time in our marketing business, talking to companies about their story. And it's the core message from Miller is it's not about you as a company, right? It's you're not the hero in the story, I guess.
Yeah.
It's your client, your customer, the person you're interacting with is the hero. And if you use cues and language that is trying to position you as the hero rather than the person you're interacting with, it's a great way to get shut off.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. Like there's a part in the first chapter of my book where it's like choose comfort over confidence. And it's something like put myself at ease. So I'll find social environments where I'm comfortable. I like one-on-one. I like sitting at a bar and speaking to a bartender because they're paid to get to know people and they know a lot of people. And the second part of that is putting other people at ease. And there's a great tip from Robin Dreek, who wrote the book It's Not About Me.
Oh, okay.
He was this is a mouthful and I'm going to get his title wrong. He's the former counterintelligence behavioral analysis lead at the FBI.
Okay.
And he's a really fascinating guy. And he has a tip from like a book from 15 years ago where it's like the key to a great first interaction is to let people know that it's going to be over really quickly. So if you go up to someone and say like, I got to be somewhere in 2 minutes, but I got to pick up my wife in 5 minutes, but I got to get my kids at school and I'm running late, but the book you're holding caught my eye. That just immediately, like for me, if I'm approached on the street, like I'm like, as human beings, we're like, our guard goes straight up and we're like, is this a threat? Like, is this person here to hurt me or help me? And that little sentence of saying like, I'm not going to take up much of your time, immediately you see the shoulders drop. And that leads to a really fast, positive interaction. Like one question, be curious, follow up a little bit. I usually drip something about myself into that, like wife, kids. I have to get to a lecture at a university, just because if you share a little bit about yourself, it helps for other people to open up.
Kind of open a little bit of a story loop as Donald Well.
Yeah, like that's my job at university is I have students from last class was 50 students from 38 countries, and a lot of them are from like Beirut, Lebanon, Syria, Colombia, Bolivia. And a lot of them don't think that they have stories to tell, and that they have an uphill battle. And my job, like I start my leadership of saying I grew up stuttering and I'm scared to be talking in front of you guys. And like the point is not for me to stand up here and lecture you. It's for us to uncover some of the strengths we do have that we don't see and ask them questions, dig in and help them shape their own story.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed in interacting with a lot of people, and I just sort of took it for granted for a long time, and I never really heard this feedback until recently, was that some people I interact with where English is their second language, they are very self-conscious about the way they may sound or the way they feel they're butchering the language. And I didn't even have a clue that people felt that way. And I was like, wow, that is interesting feedback. So I need to take, especially if I'm dealing with a client that maybe is English as second language, because I'm not speaking their native language, right? I'm going to be speaking English, or maybe some very broken Spanish or something. But that it means that I really need to go like the extra effort to make them feel at ease. So, and I just discovered that recently in some interactions I had with some people in the US that were originally from France. So
I just wrote an article on how to put people like the leadership quality. It's not talked about a lot, but the ability to like immediately put people at ease for me is massive. And I'm in Spain and I work in English, but like on the street, it's in Spanish and Catalan. And I have to be very cautious. Like I'm American. I like for someone who stutters, I talk fast if I'm like excited about something. And I have to tone it down, like immediately speak slower, shorter sentences, easier words. And I think that's actually like really helped with my writing, just because I always get feedback where it's like massively clear for someone who's not a perfect English speaker. So it's rubbed off on me in communication ways, like as speaking at a university with students, half of them are probably native English speakers, half of them aren't. So I have to slow my roll. And that's helped my communication skills in general, just to slow down, think before I speak. How should I say this? Prepare for it. I think it's a nice thing. Like it's a nice thing when I see the deer in headlights of students or someone on the street, like I'm talking way too fast. You can see it, that they're just like, and they're thinking, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's the same with me in Spanish.
So the first part of the book, you do talk about part one, persistently curious. I think that's that's taking a genuine interest in others, where they're coming from. And what's interesting is your third principle is treat your curiosity as your primary responsibility. So what do you mean by that?
So it's kind of a double-edged, like the comfort thing, where it's be curious, like in your curiosities, like what interests you, and be curious in others. So my dad actually, maybe 10 years ago, it was a defining moment in my career. I was in Costa Rica, had problems with the lawsuit of the house problem. And my dad flew down to tell me that my mom had cancer. So he came down in person. I was like, and we sat up in the hotel room, like on opposite like sides of the bed, talking about life and what it means to leave a good one. And he said something that shook me to my core. He said, the saddest part about getting older for me is seeing how intellectually dead some of my old friends have chosen to become. And he used the words chosen. He used like intellectually dead, like petrifying. Like I've never heard a worse warning on how to waste your life. And that sent me on not a mission, but I'm doing work now. I started to write. I started to teach at universities. I started to work with clients all around the world, and like in design, social innovation, and like the fields I was interested in. So that was like curiosity for me. It kind of all stems there, for community, for connection, for like if you need courage, conviction. It's like, what are you curious at? Like if you're not curious in the thing that you're chasing, you're not going to push yourself. If you're not curious in front of the person you're speaking with, it's going to be hard to build a connection. If you're not curious in your own interests, your day-to-day life isn't going to be as exciting. So I try to map my life around the things I'm curious in. It took some time. Like my wife and I we started a family like right when I did this change, and we weren't making any money. I was working from home, watching a kid. But just kind of over time, I got lucky in the sense where I kept pushing it. And these dominoes of the things I'm really interested in is people, is art, is teaching, like all of these things I get to do now in various areas. But curiosity is just like the backbone of living. Like life is learning, so it's kind of the foundation.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I need to relate a story. I mentioned before we started the podcast that I had the opportunity to start an internet company with another gentleman to make websites for car dealers in 1994. The way that I got into that was I was working in Europe, and I had a laptop, and I was looking for ways to communicate and connect while I was traveling. And I started using modems on my laptop and like dialing into bulletin boards and things like that. So I kind of had this passion for communicating And then around 1992, 1993, Wired magazine came out and talked about, and I remember seeing it on the bookshelf in the magazine rack, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? Grabbed it, devoured that copy, and just started learning about the internet, and just became just passionately interested in it, and figured out a way to dial into our local library. They didn't have web. They had like Gopher, which was like text only. It's like a web browser, but it's text only. Started doing that. And then the company I was working for at the time went bankrupt. So I was out of a job. And this was like in July or something like that. And I told my wife at the time, she was working in banking. She had a good job. And I was like, and it's before we had kids. I said, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is what I want to do. And I just started reaching out. And one day an email popped into my inbox, and somebody in Texas had sent this local car dealer my information and said, hey, this guy is in your local area. I think he's interested in doing what you're doing. You guys should get together. Well, like the next day we got together, and that was it. It was like gasoline in a match. So we started the company. 10 months later, we sold it for a lot of money. So, but it was amazing. That just amazing passion that I had for that. I mean, I was lucky that I found it, and I was able to find, a way, an outlet for that passion. So,
yeah,
but it was, and it was 100% curiosity driven. That's
amazing. I love those kind of outreach messages though, too, of saying, screw it, I'm going to do like just one random email, how it can shape your life. The second part of my book is like how I built my network from a small town in Spain by sending emails. Like, and it's funny how that stuff does. I think with the curiosity, we're all curious and stuff, but the story that we tell ourselves of like, we can't do that.
The next part too is meaningful connections. And I like your principle 5, get to know your heroes. What's the motivation behind that principle?
So the chapter, like I started to write when I was 38, and a year into it, I was like, I don't want to do this alone. And I began just reaching out to other writers. And the easy step for me was a lot of writers, like vegans, they'll say that they're shy. Like, it's kind of a, so I started with the shy ones and was like, hey, like a very quick email. I'd leave a couple comments on their articles on Medium or LinkedIn, and we'd get on calls. And slowly but surely, like a lot of them kept saying, it's like, well, I'm like working, I'm home now, I'm lonely. So like I got together the initial 10 people I spoke with, and we got a little group together. We turned that into a mastermind group. So it was basically every week I was sending out an email to someone who just caught my eye, who I was interested in, who like, I like the energy of the person, the story of the person. And like, I'd have a weekly call like you do for a podcast, an hour conversation with somebody new. And it's amazing how those things started to like attract other opportunities. Like if I had heard of a job, I'd pass it on to somebody in the group. Like, and over time, my confidence got up like a little bit higher to kind of start to push who I was reaching out to. And so I started slow, and over time, it's led me to working with leaders at IDEO and Apple and a professor at Harvard. Like all of this from writing articles and sending out, hey, I like what you're doing type emails. Or like the thing that worked best for me is just like, thank you in the subject line, just because a lot of inboxes are full of stuff that don't say thank you. And then I think of like, thanks to you doing X, I've been able to do Y. Like, thanks to you, like X thing, I think of this differently now, where I was able to pass an interview, whatever it is, just kind of really quick in the beginning. They'd usually reply. I'd send them something I like that they would like, I think also, and then like a couple back and forth, and we'd hop on a call. And when I get to know other successful people, my writing partner, a guy I just helped with his book, Irreplaceable, he taught starting at age 28. He took a course at Harvard, and the second day, the teacher asked him to teach the class with him on design and marketing and branding. Like he's just one of those guys. He's one of those guys. Yeah, he gets it, and he's very good. But he started at age 14 sending handwritten letters to authors, architects, actors, musicians. And he does it every week, still handwritten. Yeah, and I like it. Like I see that thread like a lot through the people who I work with. And a lot of people too. Like I would talk myself out of not doing that, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get rejected. This person's gonna think I'm stupid. I've never once, nor have I spoken with anybody who's received those types of messages, like sat and laughed at someone for taking a chance. Like, and even if you don't reply, it's because you're probably busy, like you have kids. So just the realization that, yeah, it's like, it's a great habit. You'll hone your persuasion, your networking, your communication skills while getting to know people who you find interesting. Yeah, and that kind of, and the more you speak with people, Kevin, the guy I worked with, he has a great line. He's like, some people experience all visiting the Grand Canyon or a beach in Maui. For me, it's watching ordinary people do ordinary things, like just be in awe of human beings. And it's like the more you get to know other people from different backgrounds, from different experiences, like the more you just realize, like, wow, humanity is pretty incredible. So I like to get to know your heroes. And heroes is a weird word for me, though. Like it's not necessarily Steve Jobs. Like heroes for me today is a single mom who's surviving. You know, like it changes. Like I've gotten older, where I don't want a Ferrari. I'm fine with a Volkswagen. But like it's the same of looking at human beings. I have a friend here who took a raft from Africa to Europe to start a new life.
Wow.
Like, you know, he works at a restaurant here. You wouldn't, like, you'd walk right by him. So it's just funness of being in awe and thinking people are like endlessly fascinating.
I love that. I love that. So you've got principle 7. I'm just going to shoot through a few of the other principles here. Smallest and new big. that really, I'm interested in learning a little more about that.
Yeah, it's right now I kind of feel it online too. Like everyone's friends, but no one's connected.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a, like I had mastermind groups, but it's funny that the first 10 connection, well, not just like all the first 10, but it's like after like I had a group that ran up to about 50 people, and I met a lot of creators, writers, and we collaborated on things for a couple of years, but I could kind of lean towards, like, it was clear that like I had my little group. And those
so bigger
people,
is not better.
No, yeah, and it's kind of the day-to-day support, like of having 5 close friends. For me, trumps going on LinkedIn and doing a bunch of outreaches, or like kind of comments you feel like not stupid leaving, but hey, great job. Just this small talk, like the incessant small talk. And working with 5 or 6 people, like my career is like I have a couple friends, a couple clients who are my cheerleaders, and my collaborators who are good at things I'm not good at. We have a lot of fun together. We fight. Like I kind of feel like the people that you want to work with are the ones who you can happily fight with. And the thing is with my collaboration friends, with the small group I do have of moving fast on books or branding projects, whatever it is I'm not the best starter. I'm bad at a blank page. I'm a good developer. And I have friends who are great finishers. Like I'm bad at the final details, the tuning up. So like if somebody is good with getting crap on a page, I love that. Like give me bad stuff. Like, and I'll hop in and get it moving. So it's funny, like just a couple people can move things, especially in today's age. You don't need a massive team. And if you have a couple people who you really get along with, like I have friends, I've never met them in person. Like we've been working together for 7 years on projects ranging from like books to branding to our own books and companies. And it's filling in the blind spots and the weak spots of each of us.
That's I love that. That's I'm going to sign up for that. I need more of that in my life, because I can relate to the fact, I mean, I've got a company, I've got a team, we're small, we're less than 10 people, but we're really tight. We're 100% virtual, but you know, I could definitely see the possibilities there. And so I think that's good good advice. Very good advice. So I want to move down. Sorry, port three. So the book's kind of divided into three sections here. So that's meaningful connections, and obviously it means a lot to you, and you've definitely kind of created a little bit of a roadmap here. I like that.
Yeah, it's true. The thing, like, I have my core, but I have my weekly phone calls with someone new, and generally it started as writers, and now it's anybody who I think is interesting. Like, and that allows the weak tie connections to kind of play. Some of my best friends, we run in the same circle, so we're hearing the same ideas, the same opportunities. So my weekly calls with random people and checking in with those people once every 90 days, 180 days, of a voice message saying, "Hey, I was thinking about you." Those are sometimes the things that they don't know me well enough, so they'll still refer me. So it's kind of the thing of having like your core while learning from like life experiences around you.
So and then the final part of your book is you call it quiet conviction, and you've got kind of your last principle here is lift as you climb. What does that mean?
So it's like, while you're going after your own goals, look behind. So I think a lot of people look ahead of, I want to be like this person, or I want to achieve this thing out in front of me. And meaning and fulfillment at work, for me and for most people I know, is helping the people who are a step behind you to rise above you. So you can kind of all climb, like, you lift as you're climbing up a ladder. I think, like anything good in my life, feeling like emotion at work, the stuff I remember is when somebody took an interest in me when they didn't have to. And like so I started to write. There's a story in the book, and I was on a secret WordPress site. Like, it was like I was too scared to share it. And I left a comment on a guy's blog in Barcelona who's kind of like the Gary Vaynerchuk in Barcelona, but very cool, and not Gary Van. Like, he wears a suit, like but known,
Doesn't drop as many F-bombs.
He's like, the guy's name is Connor Neal, and he has a great YouTube channel on leadership communication stuff, and just a really good guy. So I was leaving a comment on his blog, like, and we met for breakfast, and I completely bombed it. I just had a kid. I was exhausted. I forgot my wallet. I asked him to breakfast. I think at one point I even said to him, like, "How do you live with your wife?" He told me a story about her. Just a bad day. And I got home. My wife put my smiling baby on my lap, and I cried, saying, "I'm never going to hear from that guy again." And 2 months later, I published something on WordPress, and he saw it, like, and he left a comment, "This is good." Like, a month afterwards, "This one's great." And he helped me to get that into Fast Company. And I don't know if I would have had the courage to publish, like, if he hadn't taken the time to go out of his way. He's a busy guy. So it's kind of those things where you don't know how to expect, like, it's hard to describe the feeling of when somebody helps you who doesn't have to help you, but you feel it a lot. Yeah. So I try to do that. Like, in my work, I'm trying to pass down, I'm trying to lift up other people. And I can get, like, I'm in a position now, is like, I can get the things I want. Like, I don't want a crazy life. I have a nice small apartment in Spain. Like, we live light. So I'm not looking for much. And what gets me fulfillment is doing what that guy did for me.
It's nice. So we've covered a lot of ground here. I can't wait. I've gone through the book, but I need to spend more time going through everything. I think you've written a great book here. And as we wrap up here, a couple of questions I have for you. First of all, if somebody wants to, first of all, if somebody wants to buy the book, where do they get the book?
You can get it on any of the major retailers. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. So it's Shy by Design, 12 Timeless Principles to Quietly Stand Out. Yep. My website, michaelthompson.art, like artist. There's a lot of Michael Thompsons in the world, so I went with the art one. That has it has a book page. It has the links to 5 or 6 of the major online retailers. That's just the easiest way is Amazon, it seems. Just go to Amazon.
Is there a contact? What sorts of engagements are you open to if somebody wants to connect? Is it LinkedIn, or what do you recommend for people connecting with you?
I think the easiest way is through my website or LinkedIn, just because the message function is the easiest. My LinkedIn, my name is not easy. So it's Michael, like it's Mike Thompson blog. So like linkedin.com/Mike Thompson blog. And I'm active on Medium, Substack. My Substack is Shy by Design. I just started there and I'm really enjoying it. But generally, if you can find a book that's Shy by Design, there should be links to where you can find me. That isn't a website for a former Lakers basketball player or a photographer in Virginia. I should have used my middle name. Like looking back, I should have had everything like Michael Ryan Thompson or.
Great. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation, Michael, and look forward to following you and digging in a lot deeper to your work. And thank you. Thank you for joining me all the way from Spain today.
It's been a lot of fun, and enjoy your trip to Scandinavia. And I hope to be in contact sooner than later, Peter. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Biz Life Done Well with Peter Wilson. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and most of the other popular podcast platforms. Please tell your friends about us and leave us a review so even more people will find out about us. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.